Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Galdi Roy. Welcome. The design for this platform is ultimately to inspire people to tap into their understanding, developing a new way of seeing, developing a new way of thinking, developing quality thinking, and a growth mindset. In my previous or in all my videos, I basically want to focus on positive thinking, positive thoughts, and representing healthy change. If you're new here, I keep track of my personal development. This is one way of me doing that. So for this video, the topic is going to be about what do you depend on when life gets tough. There are many reasons why I wanted this topic to, start off with that question. One being the earthquake that, some people felt in New York City. It's like a 4.7 earthquake in New York City, and it's rare. I didn't feel it personally, but people were really saying that they felt it. And when that happens, you kind of realize, oh my God, like when these things happen in life, like who you depend on, like the government, right? I remember when the pandemic happened, COVID happened. I remember I felt so scared, and I really, thought of the government as a protection. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because it kind of, when these things happen, or natural disasters happen, or pandemic happens, you kind of wake up, and you kind of wake up from your little bubble, and you're like, oh my gosh, like there's this sort of chaos that happens inside your mind, at least for me, where it's like, oh, like who do I look up to? Like who do I depend? Like us as human beings or society, or we look for the government as protection. And let's say the government doesn't know what to do, especially at that time when it happens. It's kind of like it's Earth against us, and that's kind of like a wake-up call. It's kind of scary when these things happen. Like, who do we depend on? Who do you depend on when life gets tough? Like, who do you call? You call your dad, you call your mom, and then they're, scared too of what, they don't know what's gonna happen. And so that basically tells me that there's a lot of things, basically our whole life, that we depend on the government as a source of protection. And that realization just came up to me when the earthquake happened. Some people were talking about how they weren't notified. Usually when there's earthquakes or a natural disaster or something, a hurricane happens, usually the mayor or the president, we would receive an alert saying, there's going to be another earthquake, there's going to be an aftershock, or we get an alert. But this time, actually, New York City residents did not receive an alert. So that should tell you how even the government, the people who work in the government, they're humans too. And this invincibleness that we feel as human beings, or in the United States, or wherever country you live in, we should wake up when we have these events that happen and we're like, oh snap, like I really depend on the government for everything. Like the awareness that we need to wake up from when these things happen, we need to try to, obviously, prepare for the future, prepare for other, events that could happen. And then where we need to ask ourselves, okay, so how can we be reliable? How can we, find resources to protect ourselves so the government can't protect us? So who do you depend on when life gets tough? Because I think we should, pay more attention to what happens if the government can't protect us. Who do we rely on? Yeah, I just had that, that moment where I realized, oh my gosh, like I have to depend on the government. And I don't have that. I don't think like that, or I don't have thoughts that come in my mind of like that, because it's like I live in the United States and everything's good. There's jobs and food, right? But no, like you have to really think about it. And I'm 26 years old, and I'm finally starting to realize this. I'm finally starting to really, try to educate myself and really, teach myself things that I need to know as a citizen in America, or things that I would like to know about my own historical context, or like where I'm from. So what I want you to get out of this really is to, just be more aware of who do you go to when life gets tough, and try to focus on self-reliance. Try to really ask yourself, don't lose that fear that you felt when the pandemic happened, and don't break loose. I don't know where I'm trying to get at with this, but I remember when the pandemic happened, I felt scared, and how I ultimately depend on the government for protection for everything, basically. But every day, it's kind of like patterns, days pass. And then when something big happens that changes that rhythm, that changes the pattern of daily life, that's when we don't know what to do. We're running and we run to the government. I don't think that's not wise. And I hope that by watching this video, you can, educate yourself on what to do when things like that, or what you can do in your neighborhood, or, to prepare for the future, to prepare for anything. Because in 2019, that was my first time experiencing a pandemic. I'm 26 years old, and I've actually experienced a pandemic. And then the earthquake, 4.7 earthquake this year. So I'm not saying depending on the government is a bad thing, and I don't know if that's a bad thing. Like I said, I want to educate myself. I just wanted to share that I had that moment of realization of wow, I depend on the government for everything. So what happens if the government can't figure out or can't find a solution? Then I'm just left with nothing. So yeah, so I hope that you gain insight and you do your own research to how to not depend on the government for everything, or how to how to be a good citizen, helping yourself or helping others in your community. So remember to practice positive thinking, add value to the world, add value to your life, don't give up. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and whenever you have a negative thought or a discouraging thoughts, just speak over those thoughts, and just do something that you love to do something new that's healthy for your mind, and keep it up, keep going, don't stop. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys learned from